The story begins with Young, a girl whose biggest problem is that her emotions are too cold, almost lifeless. She's sitting at a restaurant in Dubai, and her mother suddenly joins her. The mother looks at her and says, "Isn't this enough already?" We learn that Young has been coming to this same restaurant, ordering the exact same meal for 10 years straight, without ever getting tired or bored. Then she starts telling her mother about everything that's happened in her life, but her mother cuts her off, saying she doesn't want to hear anything. Young looks her straight in the eyes and says firmly, "Don't interrupt me again while I'm talking. This is the first time you've heard your daughter's voice in 20 years. Didn't you miss it, even a little?" Then her mother notices a wound on her hand and asks what happened. Young replies that her job exposes her to injuries like that every single day. Her mother says she left her plenty of money. She doesn't need to work like this. Young responds coldly, "I'll pretend I didn't hear that last sentence because Grandma taught me to be kind, something you never even tried to teach me." We then see a flashback. Young's mother, years ago, leaving her with her grandmother and a bag of money. The grandmother was furious and shouted, "What kind of mother abandons her daughter just because life is hard?" Later, the grandmother receives a call from Young's school. The teacher tells her, "Since the dissection class 2 months ago, Young has been begging me to bring her another frog so she can dissect it again." The grandmother goes and brings a frog for her. When Young begins dissecting it, the grandmother grabs the scalpel and cuts her own hand, saying, "These creatures feel pain just like we do. If you don't want to get hurt, don't hurt others." A wise lesson indeed, 10 out of 10. And honestly, I'd give her 100 out of 10 if you remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, back to the story. At that moment, our girl Young suddenly snaps and starts choking her grandmother, but her grandmother fights back, refusing to give in. The struggle becomes a strange lesson in emotion, because Young suffers from an emotional disorder, almost like she's incapable of feeling anything at all. Her grandmother tells her, "These are our rules, the ones we'll live by." Young narrates, "If it weren't for Grandma's rules that I've tried to follow since childhood, you'd probably be listed in the obituaries by now. And don't worry, you'll never see me again. Goodbye, Mother." She leaves and returns to her hotel. Later, she joins a desert trip with a tourist group. Suddenly, a sandstorm hits. The guide tells them, "This happens because a genie performs his dance every 1,000 years. You're lucky to witness it." Young stares blankly and mutters, "Poor thing. It's supposed to be a duet dance, but he's doing it alone. Guess this genie is even more miserable than I am." Of course, she says it completely emotionless. Don't think she actually felt sorry for the genie. When the group leaves, Young takes another path alone. Her friend texts her to ask if the trip's going well, and Young replies, "The desert is beautiful, vast, and silent, perfect conditions to plant a cactus and bury myself next to it." Her friend advises her to control her anger and listen to the ticking of her watch to calm down. Young actually tries that, but then she trips over something and falls face first into the sand. That something turns out to be a lamp. She starts angrily hitting it with all her might, imagining it's her mother, releasing all the rage she's held inside. When she finally calms down, she realizes it's just a lamp. She picks it up, turns it around, and suddenly, a genie appears. But remember, our girl Young doesn't do reactions, she does actions. No fear, no shock. She just says bluntly, "Who are you? Speak fast before I finish you off." The genie sits proudly, chest out, and replies with grandeur, "I am the devil himself, but people like to call me Genie." She doesn't care and walks away, completely unimpressed. The genie follows her, shouting, "Wait! You're the girl I've been searching for 1,000 years!" But she keeps walking as if he doesn't exist, while he stumbles after her, tripping over his long hair. And that's how Young's bizarre journey begins. As soon as she entered the room, she found him there, his long hair scattered everywhere, literally covering the entire place. He looked at her and said dramatically, 1,000 years, huh?" She replied dryly, "So your hair managed to keep growing all these 1,000 years, but your beard didn't notice? That doesn't make any sense." He frowned and muttered, "What's this embarrassment? Anyway, let's not get into details." Then he started telling her his story. He said he'd been cursed because of her 1,000 years ago. From that day, he'd been trapped inside the lamp. Every time someone found the lamp, they got 3 wishes, and he would grant them. Through the centuries, his assistant, Uncle Syed, was the one who kept him updated on the world outside. The changes, the wars, the inventions, everything. Uncle Syed even had the ability to transform into a Black Panther. One day, Uncle Syed told him, humans now believe in something called reincarnation, that souls can come back in another life. The genie scoffed. What nonsense! But from that day on, he made a vow. He would wait for her return, no matter how many thousands of years it took, and destroy her when she came back. Because to him, humans were greedy, selfish creatures, and she had proven his point. She had used all three of her wishes, not for herself, but to help others. And her last wish was the one that got him imprisoned inside the lamp. By the 900th year, he found a solution. He prayed to God and said, "If the one who frees me is righteous, then let me lose and stay bound. But if they are corrupt, let me win and grant me freedom." Then he looked at her and said bitterly, "And then you came along, shaking that lamp so hard you almost turned my stomach upside down. I had just eaten, woman." She stared at him blankly. "Strange. You're not scaring me, and I'm not even treating you with respect. What are you? Not human? I think I've got the wrong address." He smirked. "Doesn't matter. Corrupting humans is my favorite hobby anyway," she replied, cold as ever. "So what do you want from me?" He said, "Make 3 wishes. But you can't wish for bringing back the dead, time travel to the future, or a Nescafe 3-in-1. Anything else will be granted instantly." But Young completely ignored him. He followed her everywhere, into shops, cafes, even a jewelry store. He kept teasing her, and she snapped back at him. People around thought she was talking to herself. He suddenly laughed and said, "Oh right, forgot to mention, you're the only one who can see me." She glared at him. "Great! Now everyone thinks I'm insane because of you." He smirked. "Well, sweetheart, you are kind of insane." She lost her temper, grabbed the lamp, and threw it straight into the sea. But when she returned to her hotel room, there he was, sitting comfortably, drying himself off like nothing happened. She got furious, stormed out, and sold the lamp to a tourist for 1 dirham. But when she came back home, she found him again, this time sitting on the couch, flipping that same dirham in his hand, saying proudly, "You're my queen now. I can't be away from you." She tried to outsmart him, thinking if she could find his weakness, maybe she could get rid of him. She asked, "So, can you fly?" He grabbed her by the arm. "Let me show you." In seconds, he was soaring above Dubai, flying with her in his arms, better than Batman in his prime. They landed on a tall rooftop. She looked down and said, "Wow, so you really are a genie. Tell me, if I push you, will you die like humans do?" He chuckled nervously. "You're joking, right?" But before he could finish, she actually pushed him off the edge. He disappeared, then reappeared in front of her with a darker, more terrifying face. The good genie is dead. I should have shown you this face sooner. He remembered the girl from 1,000 years ago, the one who had told him, "Let's share the punishment no matter how severe." She'd been so kind that it haunted him. He sighed and said, "I was hoping that when I found you again you'd have changed, but not like this, you heartless thing. Now make your first wish. Ask me to forgive you and spare your life." He grabbed her by the neck, choking her, and added, "Once I grant your 3 wishes and break my chains, the first thing I'll do is end you." But Young, laughing calmly even as he strangled her, whispered, "Then do it now. This moment is one of the happiest of my life. For the first time, my heart is actually beating." He froze, stunned. What's wrong with this psycho? Why is she happy on the edge of death? He let go of her, dropping her from the sky, yet she kept laughing all the way down. He caught her again midair and growled, "If you touch me again, I swear I'll wipe out all humanity. I didn't know humans evolved this far. Your corruption is now self-sustaining. You don't even need the devil to tempt you anymore." He vanished before her eyes, leaving her falling, alone. Later, she somehow returned to her room, packed her bags, and left the lamp behind in the Dubai hotel. She boarded a plane, but when she came out of the airplane bathroom, there he was again, sitting in her seat eating snacks. She snapped, "That hair you're so proud of? I'll make you cut it off before we reach the village. Do you know how much money I've spent on hair care formulas and marrow oil? You think I'm walking into my hometown with a guy whose hair is longer than mine?" When they arrived, she introduced him to her grandmother and friends. They teased her, "Oh wow, you got married." She laughed nervously. No, he was just my roommate. I brought him as a souvenir, that's all." The genie stood awkwardly, smiling like a gentleman. When they asked his name, he said something weird and ancient-sounding. Young dragged him into the garage and started scolding him again. Her grandmother walked in, saw her holding an axe, and said, "Who are you planning to kill now? Have you forgotten our rules?" The genie disappeared again, leaving Young talking to herself. Furious, she tried to calm down, so her grandmother made her listen to the ticking of a clock, just like she used to do when Young was a child. We flash back to her childhood, her grandmother telling her, "Your mother, father, and siblings aren't coming back. They're gone, all of them." Young asked, "Gone how?" "I didn't hurt any of them, except the parrot. But that doesn't count, right?" When she realized it was true, she cried and stomped in anger. Her grandmother made her count 60 seconds with the ticking clock to control her rage. She also made her put stones in her shoes to teach her how discomfort feels, so she'd learn it's a bad feeling and never make others feel the same. But Young complained, "Grandma, you talk too much. I don't know how to get rid of you." Her grandmother smiled. "If you study hard, graduate, and get a good job, you can live alone, away from me." From that day, Young studied nonstop. She became one of the top graduates and opened her own mechanic workshop, the perfect job for someone like her. Later, Grandma cornered the genie and tried to question him about his education, but of course, he didn't understand a thing and escaped. The next day, Young drove past some villagers who whispered, "That girl's psycho." She stopped the car and said, "Actually, it's called antisocial personality disorder, thank you very much. Anyway, don't forget your blocks, sweetheart." They muttered, "She's the type who could actually kill someone." Her grandma replied calmly, "Maybe, but we worked hard raising her. She lives by strict rules and doesn't hurt anyone." The genie, overhearing, chuckled. "Unbelievable. The whole village helped raise this girl?" Then one of the old women told him, "Yes, whenever she picked up anything sharp or tried to harm an animal, like that one time with the chickens, the villagers took the tool from her and redirected her energy somewhere else. We let her vent her anger, but we made sure no one got hurt." Later, the genie discovered a video game console on the street. The moment he started playing, he was hooked. He spent the entire day losing against a kid, shocked by how advanced human technology had become. By the time he ran out of money, he ran back to Young, asking for cash. She refused angrily. That night, he blocked her car in the middle of the road and said, "Why are you overreacting?" It was just a loan. She hit him with the car without hesitation. He lay there groaning, muttering, "I just wanted to play." Later, he complained to his old assistant, Uncle Syed, who pitied him and handed him some money, saying, "You're doing good, son. Stay on the righteous path." He started working and earning money. He told his friend, "That crazy woman hit me with her car." His friend replied, "Oh, that's normal. She's mentally unstable, forget it." So he went along to show him what mentally unstable really meant. Afterward, he told him, "That's not even a human being, man. She's the embodiment of corruption itself. I can't find a single thing left for me to ruin myself." Then he added, "My next plan is to see whether she actually cares about people's lives or if she's heartless." He locked her inside a gym while she was working out, hurt her a little, then shut the door and said dramatically, "This whole place is going to burn down, and the fire could even reach the city. Everyone there might die. The only one who can stop this is you, Kitty." She replied calmly, "You know what? The only one dying today will be you." Then she walked out through the back door, totally unbothered, grabbed him and beat him up hard, saying, "Didn't I tell you not to play with fire, honey? That's your mistake, huh?" As she kept hitting him, he shouted, "You care about humans that much?" She answered, "Of course not. I'm just mad you ruined my schedule." She kept hitting him until the firefighters arrived to pull her off him. He told them, "Don't worry, guys, I'm not human. I can't feel anything." That made her furious. She hit him even harder, yelling, "I'm going to send you back to your maker today, in a race car or whatever this thing is." Later, she was eating with her best friend May in a restaurant, her closest companion. Suddenly, Genie appeared from the water cooler. She yelled at him, but he had activated his invisibility mode, so people thought she was talking to herself. She dragged him outside and handed him a girl's hair clip. She said, "Wear this when you're invisible, so only I can see you. People already think I'm a weirdo. I don't need more rumors. God bless you." He replied, "All right then, can I at least keep this as a souvenir or something?" She asked, "Why are you so obsessed with wishes? You want to get rid of me that badly?" He said, "Of course. You trapped me for 1,000 years. Why wouldn't I want to get rid of you?" She asked, "Do you even have proof?" He replied, "I sat right next to you while you were dissolving in front of my eyes. I'll never forget your filthy clay. Even my assistant saw your entire past life." So she said, "All right, fine. I'll make you a deal. I'll start using my first wish, and we'll make a bet. If I win, I'll use the other 2 wishes on simple things, and then you can be free from me." Her condition was this: the first 5 people they meet, each will be granted 3 wishes. If most of them wish for corrupt things, then Genie wins, proving that humanity is doomed. That would count as her first wish. Then he put on the hair clip. The first person they met was a store employee from the village. She said, "Hey sir, what can I do for you today?" Then they met a bank employee who used to study with Young. Genie said, "That's the second one." "Wow, customers today look so gloomy they could drag me into corruption faster than I thought." Then a dog appeared. He said, "That's our third customer." She replied, "Sorry, the dog doesn't speak, genius." After that, a man drove by, the son of a restaurant owner, and a new villager who ran a YouTube channel. Young said, "That makes 5 people total, Genie. Your turn to work your magic." The next day, Genie sat with Mr. Said and said, "I can't afford to lose to her. Anyway, she won't live more than 80 years. I'll just hide until she dies and then I'll be free. I'll take my magic carpet and vanish. I'll turn out to be Aladdin's cousin in the end." He stopped by Young's grandmother's house and said, "Don't tell Young you saw me. Just give me that salad bowl. I need it." Then he flew away on his carpet, thinking he was safe, but fighter jets caught him mid-air. The news spread about a strange object flying between Korea and Japan. Young saw him and shouted, "You almost caused a war between 2 countries over a salad bowl, and you say you just wanted to be alone?" Then she said, "If one of the 5 customers' wishes changes the entire world, how would I even know how to take it back?" Later at dawn, he met her on a rooftop. He told her, "If you write your words with this feather, they'll remain true until the end of time." Then a man walked in, the building owner. He said, "You're not supposed to be here." The man replied, "We don't need permission between us. Just do as I say. When the chance comes, pull out the feather and run." He grabbed her and threw her off the roof, but the man jumped after her and saved her, revealing his wings. She asked, "If you have wings, why did you scream for help?" He said, "I just got nervous." She pulled out the feather and ran. That feather turned out to be the pen Genie was talking about. Then Genie's assistant appeared, saying, "I see you've been freed." Genie replied, "Yeah, you always said I caused people's corruption, but look at humanity now. I've been gone 1,000 years, and they're still destroying each other with wars and greed." His assistant said, "Enough talk, I'll deal with you soon." Then they went to their first customer, the same girl from the store. Her boss treated her horribly. When she went into the storage room, she found a lamp. Genie appeared and offered her 3 wishes. She was frustrated and wished to become the manager of the wedding event, and it worked. She immediately took revenge on her cruel boss, and no one could believe her sudden promotion. When Young met her, the girl said, "Aren't you coming to change your car oil?" Young replied, "No, honey. I'm buying a new imported car, so don't worry about me." The only thing upsetting Young was that her workshop had lost one of its regular customers. Then Young remembered how she met her best friend May. Back in school, May was bullied by some girls, and Young helped her by threatening to burn them alive if they didn't leave May alone. And it wasn't just a figure of speech. She literally brought gasoline and poured it all over the bathroom when they were inside. After that, Young became close to May, helped her excel, and she became a dentist with her own clinic. Honestly, everyone needs a friend like that. Later, Sayed told Genie everything he had learned about Young from observing her. She worked multiple jobs, followed a strict routine, went diving, climbed cliffs, all because she wanted to die naturally by accident. When they went to her workshop, they found that she had even built coffins, preparing for every possibility. They said she was waiting for her grandmother's time to come so she could follow her, like a battery running out. Sayed asked, "So if Young dies, how will you take revenge on her?" Genie replied, "I'll protect her grandmother's health so nothing happens to her." After that, whenever the grandmother said, "Oh, my back hurts," Genie would rush to help, working in her place. Over time, the grandma started taking advantage of him, perfectly healthy but pretending to be weak. Then Mr. Said went to Genie and said, "Young doesn't remember anything." Genie got upset. "What? She caused my imprisonment for 1,000 years and now she doesn't even remember? She was supposed to be righteous. Is she mocking me now? Don't you dare tell her she was a good person who sacrificed herself to help others." Said, "Don't worry, I don't need to. She's standing right behind you." She walked away. He called after her, "Hey, nice outfit. Where are you going?" We then see her at May's clinic, then later shopping and eating out with Genie. As they sat together, she gazed at the city skyline full of skyscrapers. He said, "I'll take you up there if you promise not to push me again." He took her there, and while standing at the top, she suddenly said without hesitation, "I like you." He said, "What the? Who confesses like that? You scared me." When he asked why, she said, "Because you're like an engine. I don't need to exert effort to feel your emotions. You're comfortable." He sighed. "Great. I should have never asked. I've been reduced to a car engine now." He told her, "You want romance? I'll give it to you." Then he turned off all the lights in the city, letting her see the beauty of the stars, and together they shared a magical romantic moment. The next day, Young couldn't stop thinking about him. She wanted to relive that feeling again, but Genie kept trying to escape from her. She chased him everywhere. Later, they met another customer, the bank employee. She was opening Young's account and saw the unbelievable amount of money inside. Furious and jealous, she could barely stand her. That night, the village held a big festival where everyone gathered, except Young, who stayed in her workshop. There, the so-called Angel of Good showed up. She asked him, "Excuse me, but what exactly are you? What species are you even? And why are your wings so dark?" He replied, "Sorry about that. Next time I'll make them pink for you." She said, "I've noticed something. Everyone you feed during your charity work dies right after. Why's that?" He answered, "If you think about it the other way, my mission is to bring peace to their hearts." She then asked, "So, just to be clear, what are the rules? You're not allowed to fall in love or something?" He said, "Exactly. That's forbidden." She smiled and said, "Well, too late for that, sweetheart. You've already taken my heart. Now go, before I spray you with water." The next day, we see the first customer, the woman who became branch manager. Her friends didn't respect her or take her seriously. Regretting her quick promotion, she went back to the lamp and made her second wish, to return 20 years into the past but keep her managerial position and to have immense wealth as well. Genie granted her wish, and she was sent 20 years back in time. Meanwhile, in the present, Young was in her office when an old colleague greeted her, saying he had just moved with his wife and son into the house next door. At that same time in the past, Genie met the younger version of Young, just a child. He said, "Well, since we're in the past now, let's at least say hi." But little Young threw a rock straight at his head. In the present, she felt a sudden ache in her memories. Her co-worker beside her said, "No use, you're still as weird as ever." Later that night, Genie was once again hiding from Young, who was searching for him angrily. When she found him, she started yelling about how he always disappeared without warning. During their argument, the dog, one of their supposed customers, came over barking. She said, "All dogs bark when they see me because they're scared I'll adopt them. They can sense human emotions. They know I have none. Don't worry, buddy. I'm not adopting you." Then she walked away. Genie called Mr. Said to translate for the dog, telling him he could have 3 wishes, on one condition, that he convinces all the village dogs to stop barking whenever they see Young, or else Genie would turn them all into cats. The dog's wish was to become a handsome, rich 40-year-old man. The next day, Young was working with wood again, but this time, thankfully, building a table instead of a coffin. Her grandmother called her, reading out notes from her diary. When they hung up, Young went to Genie angrily and said, "Here, take your broken magic. My grandma was able to read what I wrote with that feather, even though you said no one could see it. Now we need to hide both the notebook and the feather." Genie said the lamp was the safest place, so he took her inside it. He told her, "See? This is how long I've lived here, alone." She then made him bring in furniture and decorate the place, turning the lamp into something like a cozy married couple's home. While cleaning, a vacuum cleaner suddenly started moving by itself and got sucked into a glowing gate inside the lamp. He explained, "That's a portal. But if you go through it, it'll take another 1,000 years before you come back." She told him, "You have to defeat that angel. I don't trust him. But honestly, I could just end you myself and save humanity the trouble." They started chasing each other around playfully, laughing and shouting. From outside the lamp, her grandmother could hear strange noises as all the furniture they had arranged inside fell apart. They almost kissed, but then the neighbor called out to the grandmother. A moment later, Young found her grandmother crying. She asked the neighbor, "Why is Grandma crying?" The neighbor replied, "Because Farag, the sculptor who taught you carving, passed away." Young said, "Okay, but why is she crying about that?" At the funeral, Young overheard her grandmother talking about how worried she was for her, that she feared something bad might happen to her suddenly. Later, Young met Genie outside and told him, "My grandma also wrote in her diary about symptoms of aging. She understands too much now, and she's scared." so I'm going to use my second wish. I want my grandmother to become young again around my age." Genie replied, "Please think about it carefully. Don't rush into your second wish." She said, "No, I can't lose her to sudden death. But I'll make the wish after 3 days, not now." Then she went to her grandmother and said, "Tell your friends you're going on a trip. Go have fun, live your life." Meanwhile, the former store manager, their first customer, was calling her daughter, who wasn't answering. She went to her apartment in the city and found that her daughter had completely wrecked the place and wasn't even home. When her daughter finally called, she yelled at her, saying she'd even dropped out of college. The mother broke down crying, realizing that when she used to be a simple worker, her relationship with her daughter had been so much better. Now her daughter's future was ruined. Then Genie appeared and said to her, "You still have one last chance. You can use your third wish to return everything to how it was before." Then Ayad stood her ground and said to him, "No, not to that extent. I'm not wasting my third wish for nothing." After that, Young called him and made him fulfill her second wish. She went to her grandmother and was stunned to find her in the prime of her youth. Young gasped, "Grandma, you were this beautiful when you were young?" Her grandmother looked in the mirror, couldn't believe what she saw, and fainted once, twice, 8, 9, maybe 10 times. Young just stood there, waiting patiently for her to wake up. Meanwhile, the angel's assistant went to report to her superior about what was happening in the village, saying that Young's second wish was noble and selfless too. When she went to the lamp, Jin scolded, "Hey, can't you knock first? This lamp has its own sanctity, you know." As usual, the two began teasing and arguing with each other like always, trying to prove who was right in the end. Young, however, was busy dealing with her rejuvenated grandmother, who was now living her late teenage years. The old lady roamed all over the village, shopping like crazy and buying anything that caught her eye, while poor Young was at her wit's end, muttering, "Well, I brought this on myself." She sat her grandmother down for a serious talk, setting a few ground rules on how to behave with her new youth. That night, one of the villagers, one of the people Jin was supposed to grant wishes to, was driving when he accidentally hit a gazelle. Just as he was about to finish it off, Jin appeared before him and told him he could make 3 wishes. The man mocked him, saying, "Oh, I see. You regret hitting that gazelle, huh?" So Jin healed the gazelle and said, "There you go, that's your first wish done. You've got 2 left, and you can use them only when you truly need them. The lamp will appear before you then." The man nearly exploded with anger. He had wasted his first wish saving the very gazelle he was about to kill. The next morning, Mr. Syed came to Jin and said, "Young's dancing with her friend at the training center." Jin rushed there immediately. Her friend tripped and fell, and Jin was the first to say, "Oh my goodness, are you all right, man?" Then the bank manager arrived and called the female employee, the same customer we saw before, and asked, "Do you know Young?" She replied, "Not really close friends." He said, "Oh right. How could you be? She's one of our most important clients." That made the woman's jealousy flare up even more than before. At that moment, Jin appeared to her and said, "You may make 3 wishes." The cunning woman smirked and said, "I wish for all the money in Young's account to be transferred into mine." He asked, "You mean you want to be rich like her?" She replied coldly, "No. I want every single dollar from her account to move into mine." Seriously, everyone here seems a bit unhinged. Jin granted her wish and went to tell Young. She sighed and said, "Fine, you win this round." Then she asked him about the hourglass inside the lamp. Why wasn't it moving? But when she touched it, she saw flashes of all her old memories. That's when she realized the dream she'd been having all along wasn't just a dream. The next day in her workshop, her new neighbor came by with his son to repair the car. He left the kid there for a bit. The boy was talkative and a bit mischievous, walking with a limp. He told her about the ancient kingdom of Goryeo, but she cut him off, saying, "Please don't fill my head with stories. I've got a headache and I don't like kids." She called Mr. Syed to keep an eye on the shop while she went out. As the boy stayed behind, he noticed that his shadow looked like a giant panther. Meanwhile, Young went to check on her grandmother, who no longer stayed home much. She found her happily chatting at a cafe with her friend Mai. Young left feeling annoyed. Her grandmother seemed to be enjoying herself too much. That night, she stood before the mirror, deep in thought about what she saw inside the hourglass. "I wonder," she murmured, "what did I wish for back then?" Just then, she noticed the angel's assistant outside. She went out and asked, "What brings you here?" He replied, "I heard you used your second wish." She said, "And what's it to you?" "You're not the wish police." He smirked. "Don't you ever wonder why Jin wants to destroy you?" She said, "Because I trapped him in the lamp, obviously." He leaned closer. "Then you don't know the real reason, do you?" She froze. She needed to know. He said, "If you want to uncover the truth from the very beginning, come with me. You'll see it live." She hesitated. "And why should I trust you?" He replied, "Because Jin wants you gone, and he and I are enemies. So, the enemy of my enemy is my friend." She scoffed. "Oh, really? Are you done?" Then she picked up a small puppy, smacked him playfully, and said, "Now disappear from my sight before your black hair turns gray," hitting him on the head for real. Her strike somehow reached his assistant, who was chatting with Mr. Syed. He flinched, clutching his head. "Oh, great," he muttered. "Tomorrow's going to be rough. She's going to come at me like a storm." The next day, Jin arrived at Young's workplace only to find government officials there conducting an investigation. As soon as he entered, someone whispered, "Oh no! The chief of the Heavenly Soldiers filed a complaint against you for summoning him yesterday." She replied sarcastically, "And what? You came here to introduce yourself?" Apparently the officials were searching for evidence in a disappearance case. Young insisted she knew nothing but offered to help by taking photos of the victim. After they left, she opened her drawer, and inside was a piece of paper with a single golden hair attached, the same shade as the missing victim's hair. She had found it earlier in the restaurant owner's son's car when he came for repairs. Meanwhile, her now youthful grandmother dressed up glamorously and went out again with Mai. A villager saw her and grew suspicious. Word spread among the women that something strange was going on. They believed the mysterious young woman who suddenly appeared in the village was connected to the grandmother's disappearance. They gathered and went to Young's house, accusing her of harming her grandmother and pretending she had traveled away. Then, suddenly, one woman's phone rang. It was Grandma. She spoke cheerfully, saying, "I'm traveling, girls, and I'll be back in a few months. The weather here is lovely." Of course, it wasn't really Grandma. It was Jin who had taken her form to save Young. Still, Young was furious because of all the gossip the villagers spread about her. Her grandmother, the real one, later told her, "I'll disappear for a while, dear, so I won't be a burden to you anymore." After she left, Young confronted Jin. "This is all my fault," she said bitterly, "for ever making a wish from a failed genie like you." That word, failed, cut him deep. He said nothing, but the pain was obvious. Meanwhile, the jealous bank employee called Jin again to increase Young's transfer limits so she could steal even more money. If greed wasn't blinding her, she might have realized she could have wished to become the richest woman in the world. But no, she only saw Young as her target. She reminded Jin of someone from his past, someone who once said, "My heart is yours." Anyway, that was her second wish. Later, Young came to the bank and deposited millions into her account. Jin, on the other hand, was playing video games on the street when he met the same little boy again, the one with the bruises on his hands. When Jin asked, the boy said, "Don't worry about it. Just family problems." Then he added, "I wish I were a grown man so I could defend my mom from her husband." Jin grinned. "Oh, you came to the right guy. I'm the best wish granter in town." He tracked down the boy's abusive stepfather, dragged him to the desert, and said, "Your problem now is that you messed with me." "That kid? He's my friend." The man began to scream, "Help! Someone help! There's a man dying out here." He said to the man, "I don't see any real men around here." What kind of man picks on a 12-year-old boy? We cut back to the bank, where the manager summoned that same employee. He confronted her, saying, "You've been stealing Young's money. How come all these transfers are going from her account to yours?" She started panicking. "I don't know. I swear I'm innocent, just like you." He wasn't buying it. She even showed up with a designer handbag identical to Young's, but she was just a cheap imitator trying to act rich. The manager sighed and said, "You shouldn't be punished for stealing, but for being stupid." Meanwhile, Young went to Ty's office and said, "I want to go back to the past and see what really happened, just like you promised." He agreed, and they did it. Suddenly, she was sent back 1,000 years. At that time, there was a caravan traveling through the desert with 2 children among them. Out of nowhere, a pack of wild dogs attacked. The caravan men decided to throw the limping boy to the dogs as bait, and that boy was Young's brother. She screamed and cried helplessly until Jin appeared before her. He said, "This is the moment of wishes. What's your first wish?" Her first wish was to save the boy and give him a long life. Her second wish was to save all the children, to make sure no man would ever again use kids as bait for wild animals. At that moment, Tai appeared and said, "I understand your intentions, but because of your wishes, many people lost their lives." She broke down, crying. "I didn't mean for that to happen." When Jin arrived, she took his hand and said, "We both made mistakes, and now we must accept our punishment for life." That was her final wish. And that was how Jin was sealed inside the lamp. Then we cut to a YouTuber sitting in his room, frustrated, wishing something interesting would happen in the village, anything he could film for views and likes. He muttered, "Man, I wish there'd be a crime or something, and I'd be the one to solve it. That'd go viral." At that very moment, Jin, who happened to be online, granted his wish. The YouTuber suddenly found himself at the site of a buried crime scene, and he was live streaming. As he dug into the ground, he uncovered a decomposed corpse. The next day, the police came to investigate, and of course, all fingers in the village pointed at Young. Meanwhile, Young's grandmother was in the supermarket when she spotted two villagers talking. She hid behind a shelf and overheard them gossiping about the murder. One said, "It must be Young. She's the only strange one among us." But the other replied, "Don't be ridiculous. A human body takes 20 years to decompose. Young was a child back then. How could she have done it?" The grandmother was deeply hurt by what she heard. She returned home and told Young, "No matter what they say or how they accuse you, just ignore them." But Young brushed it off lightly, saying, "All right, Grandma, let's eat. I'm starving. We don't have time for this." Later, she went to the farm to get some vegetables, where she ran into the bank employee, the same one who stole from her. The woman arrogantly said, "Call the bank and tell them you gave me the money willingly." Young replied calmly, "But you stole it. If the bank calls me, I'll tell them the truth, that you're a thief." The woman smirked, "I could just use my last wish to make you die and put an end to this?" Young shot back, "Well, if I die, my grandmother will inherit everything, and she'll make your life miserable anyway. Besides, wishes don't control life or death, and since my life is basically the center of yours, I'll still come out the winner." Then she smiled coldly, "Enjoy your loss." That night, Young and Jin were enjoying their favorite hobby, sitting together at the highest point in the village. They talked for hours under the stars. Jin tried to soften her heart, speaking gently, hoping she'd fall for him. "My shoulder's always here if you ever need to lean on it," he said in a poetic tone. She smiled slyly. "Oh, I definitely need it." But the mischievous side of her had other plans. Just as she leaned close, she tripped him and he fell flat on the ground. Meanwhile, Mi went to Young's house and was shocked to see her grandmother walking out, looking youthful and radiant. Mi didn't know the truth, that this was actually Young's grandmother under a magical secret. Mi greeted her politely, "Oh, you must be Young's friend." Then Young arrived with Jin and Mi raised an eyebrow. "So wait, your friend's coming out of your house while he's going in? What's going on here exactly?" Young chuckled nervously. "I'll explain everything, but not right now." Then the psycho man, the restaurant owner's son, met Jin again and forced another wish. His second wish was to go back 20 years in time. When he did, it turned out he was the criminal in the case the police were investigating now. He wanted to find out who had witnessed his crime back then. The witness was his own mother. He returned to the present and shouted at her, "Why didn't you just tell me it was you? I've been anxious for years." The next day, Young went to his mother's restaurant and saw it listed for sale, at a price far below its worth. The following day, she went to the psycho man himself, carrying the yellow hair and dye sample she'd found in his car. "I heard you like dyeing your victim's hair," she said coldly. "You could have just been a hairdresser. It would have been easier." He looked shocked. "You came here to give me the evidence? Not to the police?" Young smirked. "I came because this interests me, but you need to fix your mistake. Maybe we can work together." He laughed. "I knew it. You're just as crazy as me." When Young returned home, Jin asked, puzzled, "Why'd you give him the evidence?" She replied, "Because if I'd handed it to the police, he would have used his third wish to escape prison. No one else knows where the victim's body is. Now he'll use that last wish to go back in time and hide the evidence. That's when you'll take my diary and give it to my past self." Jin was amazed by her cleverness. "You're brilliant," he said. "You should be the one living in the lamp instead of me." Later, he invited her on another trip, this time to Dubai. He said he'd meet someone there who might explain why 20 years of his 1,000-year memory were missing. So they went together, with me and Grandma joining them too. When they arrived, Jin told Young to rub another lamp. From it emerged a stunning female genie. Jin sighed. "Oh, her?" The woman smirked. "Yeah, I'm his ex." Young raised an eyebrow. "Wow, so how long has it been?" Jin laughed awkwardly. A long time ago." The female genie crossed her arms. "By the way, where's the teacup set I gave you as a gift?" He scratched his head. That was ages ago." Young looked between them and teased. "So, how long have you two been separated?" Jin muttered, about a few thousand years, maybe?" Young smiled slyly, patted him on the back, and said, "I'll leave you two to catch up," before walking away. Meanwhile, me and Grandma were in a parallel world version of Dubai, shopping in grand markets, laughing, eating, and fully enjoying themselves. At the restaurant, Grandma suddenly remembered something from the past, when Young had once asked her, "Do you ever miss your daughter?" Grandma smiled softly, replying, "Of course I do. I always have." When he left the restaurant, he saw her standing across the street. The grandmother kept looking at her, her eyes filled with tears. Young got upset, frustrated that her grandmother was still this soft-hearted and kind. She tried to calm herself down by listening to the ticking of her watch. After returning from the trip, she saw the bank employee standing near her workshop, shouting and trying to provoke her, pressuring her to make her final wish first. Meanwhile, the store manager called for Genie and, with sly intelligence, used her last wish to make him forget the 2 previous wishes, thinking that this way, she'd get 3 new ones again. But it turned out to be a trick, Genie's trick, and she fell for it, wasting her final wish completely. When Genie returned to Young and told her the latest updates, which she always recorded in her notebook, he asked her, "Won't you make your final wish?" She replied softly, "If I make it, that means my role in your life will be over, and you'll disappear from my memories too. I don't want that to happen." For the first time, tears glistened in her eyes. Elsewhere, Ty's assistant was sitting with Mr. Said, the one who turned out to be her ex as well. But Mr. Said discovered that Ty had stolen her voice. Furious, he stormed off, grabbed Ty by the leg, and refused to let go. Genie intervened and said, "Forget this job. Come with me, demon to demon, it'll be more fun." He grabbed Ty and flew him straight into space. There, they fought fiercely until Ty finally gave up, panting, "All right, enough, I'm done." When Genie asked about the 20 missing years in his memory, Ty still refused to tell him the truth. Then we see Young standing on the hilltop she often visited. Her neighbor approached her, looking nervous, and said, "Please forgive me, but I live with some very bad people. I couldn't escape them. They paid me to do this. I have debts, community savings and all that." And with a sudden shove, he pushed her off the hill. As she fell, flashes of memories flooded back, her moments with her best friend, her grandmother, and Genie. Suddenly, Genie appeared out of nowhere, caught her, and said, "How could you do this?" But she replied faintly, "It wasn't me who fell." He scolded her, "You could have used a wish to call me." She whispered, "If I used my last wish, I'd forget you." And that was the spark, the beginning of their burning love story. Now take cover, dear viewer. This love is about to set the world on fire. Meanwhile, the dog who once wished to become human found the family he had been separated from. He went back to Genie and asked to be turned into a dog again. It was his final wish. Genie was shocked by such loyalty because, as he said, the loyalty of dogs is unmatched, unlike that of humans. Later, Young went to the bank and withdrew all her savings in cash, but that night, while walking home, she was attacked by a group of homeless thugs who tried to rob her. One of them hit her. Suddenly, Genie appeared, spreading his chest wide and shouting, "Where's so high? I told him to stay with you and protect you." She groaned, "Well, sorry, nature's call is stronger than all of us." Then she snapped, "Why are you just standing there? I just got hit." Genie's eyes flared. "That's the one thing I won't allow." He grabbed the boys and beat them to a pulp. Afterward, they walked together, and he told her that long ago he had wished for 3 things. His last wish was made during the 20 missing years he couldn't remember, but another Genie had told him that the little girl he thought had died at age 8 hadn't. She had actually lived another 20 years. That's why he was scared. He couldn't remember what exactly he had wished for. Young told him she had also felt fear when falling from the mountain, afraid she'd never see him, or her grandmother, or me, again. So he took her for a walk in a peaceful place, almost like a first date. She teased him. "It's strange, you've saved me so many times, even though you used to do everything just to get rid of me." He smiled. "I've stopped trying, because if I actually put my mind to it, I would destroy you." That's when they realized their love was one written since the beginning of time. Later, we see Me in the clinic comparing the grandmother's X-ray to that of her youthful self, and they matched exactly. Meanwhile, the psychotic man made his third wish, just as Young predicted. He wished to return to the moment he killed his second victim. He actually went back to that day. When the victim begged him to give her a ride, he struck her violently. But in that same moment, Genie handed the notebook from the future to Young's past self. She found the man, opened the notebook, and a powerful energy burst out. She managed to save the victim, call the police, and have him arrested. When Genie returned to the present, he told Young he would do everything to recover his memories with her, because deep down, he knew she was the woman he had loved. Their relationship had blossomed during those 20 missing years, and now he wanted her back. Me later went to the villagers, showing them pictures of the grandmother when she was young. Everyone recognized her. It was the same woman. She connected all the events together and finally confirmed that the young woman really was the grandmother. At home, the grandmother was cooking large amounts of food for Young, labeling everything with instructions. Tai had told her that just because she became young again didn't mean her lifespan had extended. The moment the mystical tree bloomed, that would be her final day. Young went to her workshop, where Genie joined her. He smiled and said, "How about I take you on a flying carpet trip tomorrow?" She laughed. "Sorry, I'm going out with Grandma tomorrow. I want to give her natural memories with me, since she's always lived like a lifeless wooden board." He sighed. "Fine then, I'll make my own memories." He went off to play video games with the little boy he often hung out with. The boy happily told him, "My wish came true. My mom's husband disappeared, and now it's just me and her, and we're happy." Genie smiled softly. "Just don't forget our games, okay?" As they said goodbye, the boy joked, "You're such a drama hero. But I'm retiring now. See you tomorrow." At that same time, Young and her grandmother were taking photos together. The grandmother said, "So you can remember me beautifully in your memories." Young smiled quietly, thinking, "Does she read my thoughts?" The next day, Young traveled to Dubai just to find the female Genie and ask about Genie's mood, but there were people following her. As soon as she noticed them, she started running. Suddenly, the female Genie appeared and helped her escape. When they spoke, Young realized that this was the very same Genie had once loved long ago, the one he'd written about all over the lamp's walls. When she left, she met Genie again. He took her out into the desert, where he had set up a small base for her. He had even brought her traditional Arabic clothes. She wore them, and he was mesmerized by how beautiful she looked. She began teaching him the sacred dances that every Genie must know during his cycle, correcting him every time he stepped on her feet. Meanwhile, one of the village women, who had long suspected the young lady's identity, sneaked into her house at night. She opened the fridge, tasted the food, and realized it had the exact same flavor as the grandmother's cooking. That was the proof. Shocked, she ran out and confronted the grandmother, yelling, "I knew it was you! How did you do it? Speak!" The grandmother broke down crying and said, "I'll tell you everything. Just please don't tell anyone." But the woman panicked, ran off like a mad woman, screaming that the grandmother was a witch. The rumor spread through the whole village until it reached an ancient sorcerer, one trapped in the form of a child who had lived for millions of years. That sorcerer wanted to destroy Genie. He had been watching him all along. His men, the ones chasing Young, were sent to eliminate her because she was now the queen of the lamp. If she disappeared, the lamp would belong to the sorcerer, and he would gain full control over Genie. At that time, Genie's memories had finally returned. He remembered when Young was a poor girl selling dates during the Goryeo dynasty. He had met her there and tried to remind her who he was, but she didn't remember. She just walked through the market selling dates. He kept teasing her until she snapped, "Can you please let me earn my living?" He threw her a golden jar filled with coins and said, "Here, take this. It's your living now." She was happy, but continued selling dates anyway. The next day, she went to the market to buy a camel to return home to Korea. A man approached her and said, "I've got camels. Come, see them." She told Genie, "I'll go inside. "Don't follow me." But as soon as she entered, they beat her and stole her money. Genie appeared just in time, defeated the men and returned her gold, but she was furious with him. "How could you take a human life so easily? I don't want to see you again." She shut herself inside her home, but he entered anyway, trying to make her laugh, saying he would help her return to Korea. She was overjoyed that he knew the way and wanted to help her. When she smiled at him, his heart moved for the first time. The next day, they began their journey together. Along the way, they met a sick child. She gave the boy herbs to heal him. Genie told her, "I see half of you is human, half of you is jinn. You're sick because of your human body." The boy begged Genie to cure him. When they tried to leave, the boy offered him a thread he had been weaving, saying it would help him on his path if he bought it with his own life. Genie mocked the boy and refused, walking away. Later that night, Young was sewing a dress, fighting sleep. Genie appeared and asked, "Why don't you rest?" She replied, "I must finish this dress. I want to wear it on my way back home to Korea." He told her softly that the world here was dark, then took her hand and brought her inside the lamp. There, the two of them sat together. She began telling him stories, long, beautiful ones, and he listened with joy so deep that his heart ached from happiness. They started living a love story, pure fate, spending every moment together, laughing, talking, and feeling like time itself had stopped for them. But one day, while they were sitting together, someone found the lamp. When the man rubbed it, Genie appeared, surprised, because he thought Young was still his queen. He had granted her a wish not long ago. But when he saw the man, he realized this was one of the caravan men who had once tortured children long ago. Genie had destroyed most of them back then, but this one had somehow survived. The man's first wish was to become extremely rich. Genie granted it. The man went to the market, showing off as the richest man in the land, but people despised him, mocked him, and hated him. Furious, he used his second wish to destroy anyone who disrespected him. Genie hesitated, remembering how Young had once been upset when he hurt a human, but he had no choice. He granted the wish, and half the village was wiped out in blood. Later that day, the man walked through the market and saw Young selling her dates. He looked at her with arrogance and said, "So now you pity me, huh? Because I was weak before? You used to give me your dates as if I was some beggar. Ask for whatever you want now, gold, jewels, treasures, anything." But Young replied calmly, "I don't want anything. Soon I'll be going back to my country anyway." He was offended. "How dare you reject my offer and humiliate me like this?" He returned to his palace, angry and vengeful. That same evening, Young was showing Genie the dress she had finally finished sewing. Suddenly, Genie was summoned by the man again. He told Young, "Don't worry, I'll grant him his final wish and come back right away. Then we'll go home together." When Genie appeared before the man said furiously, "Today, a woman dared to look down on me and refused to take anything from my gold or my treasures. I want her brought to me, and I want her to spend the rest of her life beside me." Genie granted the wish, but when he looked closely to see who the woman was, he froze. It was Young. Raging with disbelief, Genie attacked the guards to save her. But suddenly the same boy from before appeared, the one who had once offered him the magical threads. He threw the threads at Genie's feet, tying him down completely so he couldn't move. The boy said coldly, "These are the same threads you once mocked. Now you'll see what they can do." Then the boy revealed something shocking. This servant girl, Young, she loves Genie. When the cruel man heard that Young had come not for him, but for Genie, he went mad with jealousy. He stabbed her. Genie lost control, screaming, trembling, heartbroken beyond words. He rushed to her side, holding her in his arms as she whispered, "I believe that a human lives only for the time God has written for them." And then she stopped breathing. Genie broke down completely, crying harder than ever before. He took out the lamp and shouted, "I will grant 3 wishes to anyone, just one condition. The first wish must be to save her. I'll fulfill the second and third after that." A greedy man came forward, grabbed the lamp, and said, "All right, my first wish is to have piles of gold." Genie granted it. Then Genie begged him, "Now please, use your next wish to save her." But the man said, "No, that's not enough. I want more gold." Genie granted it again, tears streaming down his face. Finally, the man used his third wish. "I wish for the entire world to be filled with gold." But by that time, Young had already died. Genie exploded in rage. He unleashed all his fury on everyone in the palace, destroying the man, his guards, and the entire city around them. "Let the gold save you now," he said bitterly, "when you're nothing but dust." When the destruction was over, Genie carried Young's body back to his homeland. He laid her before him and whispered, "I'll accept any punishment, if only I can see her again, even once, in any life that ever comes." Meanwhile, back in the present day, the villagers were heading to the grandmother's house to confront her. They had discovered her secret, but when they arrived, she wasn't there. She was hiding from them. The woman who had originally exposed her grew angry and said, "I'll find a way to get back at you, you snake." As she stormed off, a car hit her, throwing her high into the air. From a distance, the grandmother and me saw everything. The driver who stepped out of the car was one of the sorcerer's men, the one who wanted to eliminate Genie. Genie was pulled back into the present moment, crying to Young and telling her that he had been the cause of her pain in the past, and that now his memories had fully returned. But Young told him gently, "The past is gone. What matters is that we're doing everything we can to be together in the future." Later, Young went to get the grandmother and me, placed them safely inside the lamp, and ordered Mr. Said to stay with them and protect them no matter what. Then, Young withdrew all the money from her vault and went to the bank employee saying, "I want to buy your last wish in exchange for this bag of money." The employee agreed. She summoned Genie from the lamp and said, "My last wish is that everything happens exactly the way Young asked for." Then Young went home and told Genie, "The plan is ready." He was about to go confront the sorcerer. He smiled and told her, "Then come save me afterward," and they shared a farewell that felt like a final goodbye. Genie went to the sorcerer's lair, but the sorcerer trapped him, binding him with the mythical thread. His men captured Young too and tied her up, preparing to kill her. The lamp now belonged to the sorcerer. As he raised his hand to strike her, Young suddenly vanished. The sorcerer thought she had used her third wish, but what actually happened was that the agreement with the bank employee had activated. The wish stated, "Whenever Young utters a certain word, she will be instantly transported to wherever Genie is." So she appeared right beside him, freed him from the magical threads, and together they stood to fight again. Meanwhile, Ty's assistant brought the lamp to the sorcerer and said, "A gift from Ty." When Mr. Said saw her, he was shocked, but she told him, "I'm just following orders." Then the sorcerer realized he had been deceived. Young still hadn't used her third wish. At that very moment, Mr. Said transformed into his true form, a leopard, and said, "Good morning, my little kittens. Let's begin, shall we?" Young had already warned the villagers. "The moment you see many sleeping birds on the streets, that's the sign. It means it's time. Come to the sorcerer's house and help us." And so, when the sign appeared, all the villagers gathered and rushed to the battle. But the sorcerer had already entered the lamp. He pulled me and the grandmother out, ordering his men to kill them both. But to kill me first, to force Young to use her third wish to save her grandmother. As they fired, the grandmother threw herself in front of me and took the bullet instead. The sorcerer raged. He had wanted me dead first. At that moment, Genie was fighting Ty. He remembered what the ancient father of all sorcerers had once told him, "Destroy my son. His corruption must end." They brought Young in to witness the horror that her grandmother had been shot. She screamed and broke down completely. They killed Mr. Said and dragged his body inside. But then, just in time, the villagers burst in. "Finally! Took you long enough, men?" someone shouted. They fought bravely, defeated the sorcerer's assistants, and got me to an ambulance. Just as the sorcerer was about to finish Young, Genie cut the plant that kept the sorcerer's magic alive, using his own threads. The sorcerer vanished in an instant, gone forever. Genie appeared beside Young, freed her, and pulled her into his arms. The next day, Young attended her grandmother's funeral. Tears never stopped flowing. Afterward, she returned home, sat in silence, and began reading every letter her grandmother had left for her. Suddenly, the bank employee knocked on her door and said, "I found this bag of money in my office. It's yours. Could I have stolen it from you?" But Young didn't remember a thing, because after the 3 wishes are fulfilled, the one who used them loses all their memories. But Young told her that she had sent her something very precious, that she had saved someone's life, so this was her money. But the employee told her she didn't want any money, she just wanted to go back to her old life. She apologized to Young for every time she had ever envied her. Young took the money and went to bury it in the yard of her house. Later, May came to live with her, but Young locked herself in her room, doing nothing except rubbing the lamp day after day, without eating or resting. Then one day, she suddenly left the house and went straight to the desert, the same place where she had first met him. She walked for days, calling his name over and over until he finally appeared, crying. She told him her final wish, that she wanted to feel everything her grandmother had felt, the despair, the fear her neighbors experienced, and the love her friend May had for her. She said, "Let me live as a human for just one day. I know it's selfish, because in the end, you'll be the one who wins, the one who gains freedom." He cried even harder and told her she was right. He had been wrong all along. She was a truly noble human being. Even in her final wish, she used it to help someone else. He told her she would always remain the human he loved, that he would erase himself from her memories, and that her wish would be granted. At that moment, Young's heart began to beat like any human's. She saw her whole life flashing before her eyes, every memory since childhood, everyone she had ever loved or lost. She cried and trembled in pain. Meanwhile, Tai finished off Ginny as they had planned, but Tai's assistant went to the desert to find Young and apologized for everything she had done to her. As an apology, she gave Young all her memories with Ginny. When Young remembered everything, her heart ached even more. She kept wandering through the desert until she finally passed away. The police informed May, who attended the funeral along with the villagers. One day, while May was visiting Young's grave, Young suddenly appeared to her, but this time as a genie of the lamp. Shocking, right, Fozzie? And apparently Ginny bit her too, who knows? Anyway, Young told her, "Make 3 wishes." She sat with her, told her everything that had happened, and then said, "Enough talking, make your wish already." So May made her first wish, that they would eat together every day at 4 o'clock. Her second wish was that all the children in the village would come to her clinic so she could treat their teeth for free. She said she'd save the third wish for later. They spent time together and everyone in the village lived peacefully again. One day, Young was sitting with May and told her, "No matter what your life looks like, don't ever cry again. And when you meet the people you miss most, smile. That's my third wish for you." Young got upset, because after the third wish, May would forget her completely. For a whole year, Young lived alone, granting other people's wishes. One rainy day, she stood outside thinking about Ginny and said, "Wow, what a perfect moment for a romantic scene. Too bad I don't have the luck for it." Suddenly, Ginny appeared beside her. She couldn't believe her eyes. She asked him how he came back. He said, "Honestly, I have no idea either. Just live the moment, woman." Then we see that the old grandmother had been torturing Tai endlessly until he finally returned the lamp, and Ginny came out of it again. He went back to living freely in the human world. Ginny tried to earn money for their living, but Young didn't like it. So she dug up the bag of money she had buried in her garden. Ginny told her that Uncle Syed had also come back to life and was literally an identical copy of himself. They were living fine without the lamp. The first thing Uncle Syed did was sit on Tai's lap to make him bring back his assistant. Meanwhile, Young and Ginny were constantly fighting. Then Uncle Syed brought out the teacups, the same ones belonging to Ginny's ex-Genie girlfriend that Ginny had once given him as a gift, which stirred up old memories and made the chaos worse. Young chased Ginny around, yelling, "I'm the real one today!" Then we see May as an old woman, her hair white, still visiting the place where all these magical stories began, the same place where the Dance of the Spirits was always performed. But this time, she wasn't dancing alone. She was dancing with her lifelong partner. Young complained, "Come on, we're entering a new century and we're still doing the same dance? You're still stepping on my feet. I swear, I'm done training you." Looks like they'll keep dancing together through every century, till the end of the world, hopefully in peace. But as for me, even if they offer me 1,000,000 sequels, I'm never doing this again. Here is the end of our drama. Subscribe for more videos like this one, tap the bell icon to get the updates. Thanks for watching.